first of all, I would like to thank the Uttarakhand Chief Minister for taking the initiative of actually calling this meeting. I think, as the Honorable Chief Minister of Himachal Pradesh had mentioned, that Himachal has mentioned that we all had something in our hearts and in our minds. And somehow we could not get the platform and the opportunity to share. And I think Shri Rawatji has taken that initiative, and here we are today. And I would like to thank him on behalf of all the states for taking this initiative. At the same time, I think, there are many organizations that have been really talking about this. In particular, the Indian Mountain Initiative is one organization which I've been working very closely with. And I've in fact attended 2-3 of their conferences. And we are having the conference in November in Shillong. And of course, I invite all of you to be there. And I think they've been doing an excellent work in this line. And I'm happy to see that a lot of the members are here today. And as I was saying, there are many organizations who have been working on this. So I'd like to, at the very outset, thank all the organizations who have, for many years, maybe 5 years, 6 years, or even more, have been really taking this initiative of trying to bring the Himalayan states together, realizing that there are issues that are very common to all of us. At the same time, I heard Mr. Iyer speak, and he was mentioning about the water issues. I must mention, I was speaking to some of the, I should say, the hosts who are here in the hotel, and I was asking them, do you do rainwater harvesting? And very promptly I got a reply saying that yes, we harvest the rain, and the flush, the water that you use in the flush is from the rainwater. So I thought that was really great. Friends, as I said, I will not read the speech. I just want to really stress on 2-3 important points. I think it's very clear why we are all here. I think there are 2 points. The first point is that we have common challenges. As I think very, very appropriately put by the Honorable Chief Minister from Himachal, that we face challenges like no other region does. The Himalayan region have got their additional expenditures, additional cost, and what it takes to make things in some part of the country, I think maybe double or sometimes triple the cost to make it, and more importantly, sometimes to even maintain it. So I think these challenges has really brought us all together. And I think I'm happy that we all are sharing this, and it is really a unique, I should say, occasion to have the planning, our Niti Aayog Vice Chairman here, our Finance Commission Chairman here, and our Finance Minister out here. I think these 3 pillars, and having these 3, I should say, institutions, and having the chief ministers in different states speaks in itself about what this conclave actually could do and make a difference. So I will not go into details of all those aspects, but it's a very, very important conclave. That's the reason why, because of the participation that is there. The second reason why we are all here is also to remember that the Himalayan states have something to contribute. Now today, when the Honorable Prime Minister talks about a $5 trillion economy, and it's a huge task in front of all of us, he has directed every state to ensure that we increase our GDP in our own individual states. So if each state doubles their economy, automatically the country's economy also doubles. But herein where the challenge lies. And I think why I'm talking about this is because we as a Himalayan state have a dual responsibility. At one side, we have to ensure that the economy doubles in our own state. But at the same time, we are being told to take care of our water, our forest, and balance the economy and the ecology. And I think the fact that we balance our ecology and our water and our forest doesn't only impact our state, but impacts the country as a whole. And that is the reason why the second point, that why this Himalayan conclave is so important. Our GDP and our economic model is all based on consumption. So therefore, the more we consume, the more things move forward. If you ask me, as a state in Meghalaya, I have millions of tons of coal deposit in my state. I have billions of tons of limestone deposit in my state. I've got boulders and rocks that I can sell to Bangladesh and earn crores and crores and maybe triple my economy in just 5 years' time. But then do you want me to do that, is the question. I'm sure you don't want me to do that. Because you want me to ensure that we balance things out and we ensure that the economy moves in a manner that's sustainable. So therefore, this conclave is important to ensure that when the Himalayan states are being asked to double their economy, we must also realize that we are being asked to balance the ecology. And therein lies the really twin challenge for states like us, and that is why a conclave like this is very, very important. Friends, when it comes to the Himalayan states, I'll just touch on a few things, just 2-3 points out here. We have the ecosystems that we have to look at. We have the disasters that we have to face. We have the infrastructure cost that we have. We have climate change that is real and affecting the Himalayan states more than the other states. You know, having spoken about water, for example, in my state, we've been having rain for the past 3 weeks. It is raining even today. In fact, one of the ministers who received me told me, I think you brought the rain from Meghalaya, because the rain started day before yesterday. So that's how much rain we're receiving. And, you know, the question is, if you look at the other parts of the country, I was speaking to some of our friends, telling me that in Haryana, you know, Punjab has received a huge amount of rainfall. And just the neighboring district in Haryana, there's been almost, you know, a drought. Uttarakhand is 40% deficient in rainfall. Meghalaya and Assam are 40% surplus in rainfall in this past 2-3 months. So these kind of challenges are there. Is there a way we can balance and ensure that the water that we have can somehow be saved, transported, and I don't know what other words you can use, to ensure that we can actually help each other out? And I think these are the small things, but very big, important things that I think we need to think about. So water is very important, and I'm so happy to see Mr. Iyer here. And as was mentioned by him, Meghalaya state is the first state in the country to have come out with an integrated water policy. And this water policy has been worked on by the officials for a very long time, and we have covered almost every aspect from the, from the spring sheds, how to harvest the water, how to maintain it, and how to ensure that we rejuvenate the rivers, to even ensuring how we reuse it, whether it's gray water, black water. So all these aspects are being looked into. But these are the challenges that our hill states face. We had disaster this time because of the rains. And as was rightly mentioned by a number of the chief ministers, that I think it is very critical that a special fund or a special importance needs to be given to the disaster issues being faced by the Himalayan states. And the disaster levels are growing more and more in the future. And as we know that the climate change is happening, adaptation, is the one part we're doing, but mitigation also is important. And I think these aspects need to be looked into, and that is why, as I said once again, we all are here together, because we share similar challenges that are there. When it comes to the economic activity that revolves around our Himalayan states, it's very similar once again. I would like to touch on tourism, which was mentioned by a number of people. And I think Mr. Rajiv had mentioned about the tourism, and I think I agree with the model that he has, that we need to ensure that we are able to, or we have responsible tourism, I should say, so that the tourism doesn't really come in terms of crowd that really is not sustainable in the long run. And I think each of the Himalayan states should look at sustainable tourism models, which really looking at a slightly more higher end tourism. I'm not saying that we are trying to be here, we're trying to look at the economic disparity. That's not my objective. But I think as a government, it is important to create the necessary policies for ensuring that tourism is much more sustainable. I keep telling our people that we have 12 lakh tourists today that come into Meghalaya. And yet, if you look at the opportunities or the spending capacity or the spending avenues that are there, is bare minimum. In fact, as a policy now, we have started mapping that when a tourist comes in, what does he or she spend on? They spend on the hotels, they spend on the vehicle, they spend on eating, they spend on shopping, they spend on touring. So there are 6-7 areas where they spend on. Can we look at these areas, 6-7 areas which the spending of these tourists happens, and see where we can actually push it up a bit more and ensure that how the spending can be more economical or more efficient in one manner. So I think these kind of strategies need to go into the tourism aspect, and I hope that in the long run, all the Himalayan states will be a more responsible, tourism responsible kind of a policy so that we can move forward in a way that will ensure that our states and our ecosystem is protected. Similarly, issues like the horticulture and agriculture stuff that we have. And I think that's another area which we need to look into. Government of India, especially Honorable Prime Minister, has been very keen to see that the Himalayan states move forward in organic farming. And I must congratulate states like Sikkim that have done a tremendous job, and they have 100% organic product coming out. And I think it's a huge achievement for them, and I think we need to learn from each other. The best practices that each states do, I think it's a great thing if we can share all those practices also. So I think that's another important aspect which I feel that we need to look into. Another thing which I thought was slightly missing in this conference, which I would love to see that it happens more in the future, is cultural exchange. I would have loved to see some of our youngsters from Nagaland, some of the youngsters from Mizoram, or even Meghalaya coming and performing out here. And I think that would really send a very strong message, because this is really what defines us. This is our identity. And I think we should be proud of it, and we should let each other know about what we are and who we are. So I think cultural exchange is something that I feel strongly about. And I hope that in the next conference, which I'll be very happy to host in Shillong, I hope that we'll be able to. I know that Mr. Thakur has been really eyeing this, but I took the opportunity to bypass him by speaking about it right now. But wherever the conclave may be, I think we should look at this in the future also. There are many other issues that are there. I think there's a limited time, so I would not like to go into those details. But after all of this, of course, I will take the opportunity to obviously speak about something about the Finance Commission and the issues in finance also. Though I strongly feel that this is not a conference that really we should focus on those aspects. We have had our meetings with Finance Commission. We have had our meetings with the Finance Ministry. We have had our meetings with Niti Aayog. So I don't think it's important to go into those details. But having got the opportunity, I think some aspects of my state of Meghalaya is something that I need to share. And I think, we as a state also, we have faced a lot of challenge in the last 5 years. And Mr. N.K. Singh, who was in my state about 2-3 months back, so we had shared, in fact, some of the critical issues that we faced. And as he's aware, that in the last 5 years of the 14th Finance Commission, Meghalaya state, compared to all the other northeast states and most of the Himalayan states, we got one of the least amounts for the revenue gap grant. And I think that is a big challenge that we faced. And as you're aware, that states like Manipur and other states, they received almost close to 15,000 crores, whereas Meghalaya state received only 1,700 crores. And the reason why we received the less amount was there was a projection that we would get more money from royalty from coal. And the coal royalty, as you're aware, there was a ban on coal by the NGT. And once that happened, neither did we get the revenue gap grant, neither did we get the royalty. So we've had a double whammy in the last 5 years, and that has really affected our state's economic situation even as we speak. Another issue, I think, which has been mentioned earlier, and I'm very thankful that Honorable Finance Minister, he is here with us. Our friends from Manipur had just mentioned this before you came in, ma'am, that there had been some concerns about the actual release of central taxes when it came to the states. So as you're aware, there was a projection that was given by Finance Commission. On an average, almost all the hill states received 15% lesser share of the central taxes in actuals compared to the projections that were put in by the 14th Finance Commission. So I think this matter of ensuring that the central share of central taxes comes up to the level that the projections are there, I think will be one major concern for all of us. At the same time, ma'am, before you came in, states had mentioned about the impact of the GST. And as you're aware that, the projected revenue targets were made on the basis of 14% growth, whereas the growth has been only 13%, and that has led to some financial challenges for a lot of the hill states. Himalayan states. And if we need to actually get to the projected revenue targets, we need to achieve another 17% growth before July 2022. So there has been a request from all the hill states that the particular compensation that is there may be extended further so that the hill states can actually get the benefit and the projected revenue targets can be met. So I think this is an issue that has been of big concern. I think in the Finance Commission, we have also mentioned about other aspects about the forest cover, which was mentioned by the Manipur team, and other issues regarding special consideration, and that is part of the resolution that we are making on how the hill states also should be taken into consideration. The factor should be taken into consideration when we have the horizontal devolution that takes place. So therefore, there are many issues that we need to touch on, and I think we have already shared. I don't want to really stress on those aspects about how the Finance Commission and the structure and the devolution should take place. These aspects have been mentioned and submitted by the respective states to the Finance Commission. But on a whole, I think, as I said, we are very confident, I must say. I think the fact that we have Chairman of Finance Commission, the fact that we have the Honorable Finance Minister, and we have the Niti Aayog Vice Chairman here with us, I think is a clear message to all of us that there is some serious thought about the Himalayan states that's taking place. And I think I once again would like to thank all of them for having taken their time out to come here. For the Himalayan states, it is very important, and that is the reason why we are here. But for you, you're showing true concern for the states. You're realizing the challenges that we face. You're realizing what we can add to the country as a whole. You're realizing that the climate change that's going to take place is going to impact our states first, but the impact is going to be throughout the country and the globe as a whole. So I think realizing all these aspects has brought all of us here together. So I hope that the deliberations in this conference and conclave will be positive, and I hope that after the discussions we will actually see a lot of positive results that will come out, and I really am hoping. And before I end my speech, I would like to also once again invite all of you and request that if this conclave can be held maybe after Shimla in Meghalaya, in Shillong, because I'm getting really big stares from Mr. Thakur for trying to steal the next conclave, but maybe after Shimla. Would be happy if all of you could join us in Meghalaya. But we are having the Indian Mountain Initiative Conference conclave in the month of November. So that is also another platform which really talks about all these issues, and maybe that would be another area to come in. At the same time, I also invite you, maybe in 2022, as you are aware, India is going to be completing 75 years of its independence. My state is going to be completing 50 years of its statehood. And we're very lucky that in 2022, Meghalaya will be hosting the National Games also. So I do take this opportunity to invite all of you, though it's quite far, but it's my opportunity to put into Honorable Finance Minister and Chairman Finance Commission about the National Games, without really asking for anything. It's a very subtle way to remind them about the National Games. So dear friends, once again, I thank all of you. हमारे जो उत्तराखंड के मुख्यमंत्री हैं और जो सभी जो अलग अलग स्टेट से जो मुख्यमंत्री आए हैं और जो हमारे फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर और सभी ऑफिशियल्स जो आज इस मीटिंग में आए हैं, सर आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जो इनिशिएटिव आपने लिया है, लोगों को हर स्टेट से, हिमालयन स्टेट से बुलाया है, सर इसका जो इम्पैक्ट, ये जो हमारे हिमाचल के मुख्यमंत्री ने कहा कि ये सबके मन में ये सोच, ये बात बहुत सालों से है, और हम लोग अपने मंत्रियों से, हम लोगों से बात करते हैं कि ये इशू है, इसको क्या करें, हिमालयन स्टेट्स को एडिशनल एक अटेंशन चाहिए, और इसको किसी ने आगे नहीं बढ़ाया, सब बात करते रह गए। लेकिन आज आपने ये इनिशिएटिव लिया है, ये एक बहुत ही हिस्टोरिक दिन है। हमारे जो होस्ट मुख्यमंत्री, हमारे जो होटल के जो यहाँ पे स्टाफ और लोग जिन्होंने इतना बढ़िया ऑर्गेनाइजेशन किया है, और सभी लोगों ने जिन्होंने इस कॉन्क्लेव को इतना सक्सेसफुल बनाने में आपने मदद की है, आप सबको बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि ये कॉन्क्लेव बहुत सक्सेसफुल होगा और इसका आउटकम बहुत ही पॉजिटिव होगा, क्योंकि हमारे साथ हमारे फाइनेंस मिनिस्टर, 15 फाइनेंस कमीशन के चेयरमैन और हमारे नीति आयोग के वाइस चेयरमैन भी हमारे साथ हैं। तो मुझे पूरा विश्वास है कि ये कॉन्क्लेव सिर्फ कॉन्क्लेव ही नहीं रहेगा, लेकिन इसके एक्चुअली रिजल्ट्स भी निकलेंगे। इन्हीं शब्दों के साथ एक बार बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। जय हिंद।